Hi, I'm Mike Sicoscio, and today I'm joined by Eric Beam, a student at Liberty Seminary, to talk about taking God out of America. So Eric, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. It's a little cold outside, but
It is cold. It is cold. So Eric, with taking God out of America, throughout the Bible, we see examples of nations kind of rebelling against God or, denying God. And do you see any parallels between America today and those nations thousands of years ago in the Middle East?
Mm-hmm. Well, definitely first comes to mind is Israel. You read through, the Old Testament, and God commands Israel to follow His law, and He says, "If you follow My law, then you will prosper." And of course, Israel is God's chosen nation. But I think you can very well see a lot of parallels in the fact that, back there they had the law, and they chose not to follow it. They chose to stray away to other gods and other nations, laws and stuff. But like here in America, like we have the Bible, and we have these moral laws that we should follow and obey, and they're good laws. It's not like it's a dumb law like every third day you should look up to the sky and sing hallelujah. But in reality, it's laws that will protect us, and we're choosing to go away from that, and we're suffering because of it. We're not following these good protections, and instead we're going after these things that are harming us in the end.
Mm-hmm. Why do you think, what do you think is the main contribution of people basically denying God? Like, you can't take God out of America. God will always be there. But why do you think people try so much to remove Him from, or basically wipe God out from from history?
Well, I mean, that's a really good question, and I think it comes down to the fact that, as like a kid, your parents say, "Don't do this." Well, you say, "I don't want to follow you. I want to do that," and then it comes back and you burn your hand on the stove, because they say don't do it because it's bad, but you're like, "No, I don't want to do that. I don't want to listen to them." I think the same thing for us in America. People, we want to follow rules. We don't want to be constrained and constricted. We want to feel like we're free and we can make our own decisions. And when we hear you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that, we say, forget that. We don't want to listen to that. We don't want to follow those rules. In reality, we just
all right, Eric, one of the biggest battles we're facing right now as Christians is basically keeping Christ in Christmas. So how do you see that happening, and what's your reaction to it?
I think we can see that just in the fact that you have a simple nativity scene up outside your house and someone else gets offended by that. Just a simple thing of it's called Christmas. It's about Christ, and it's about Christ's birth. And when we say no, that's offensive, what we're saying is Christmas is offensive, but we don't want to say Christmas is offensive because we have jolly old Saint Nick and everything. But I think also we as Christians, we have a wrong attitude about it, because Christ wasn't born on December 25th. That's just something that we used, the context that back then that we're in, it was actually a pagan holiday, and we tried to redeem it. I think we as Christians, we should try to redeem what we have now. And while we stand for truth and we say, no, this is about Christ, we're going to exalt Him, we don't crucify, we don't hate those that hate us. Because when we choose to love them, even though they're throwing slanderous terms at us, and they are suing us, or they're doing this or that, and when we choose to love them and rise above their hatred, we're really showing Christ's love, and that's what they need. They need the gospel, and whatever that means, however that looks, we should choose to give them the gospel.
There are a lot of other attacks or ways to take God out of America. There's homosexual marriage, or high rates of divorce. Abortion is very high. What do you think is the biggest threat to, I guess, keeping God in our government? What have you seen lately that just makes you think man, we really are losing this battle to keep God in America?
I wouldn't say it's an actual hot topic issue specifically, but more just a mentality that we have here. We don't have men. There are very few men in America that are willing to stand up for truth. That's why we see abortions happening, because there's not a man in that life to stand beside that woman and say, I will go with you through this. That's why we see divorces, because men just want to satisfy themselves, and once that wife isn't doing it for them, isn't satisfying that feeling of love, then they're saying, I want to move on to something else. And if we chose to specifically empower our men and help them realize that they need to step up, we need to, I'm a man, we need to step up in this area and stand for truth and stand for the Bible and stand for Jesus, even when it's hard, even when it's not convenient. Like, that will help solve our issues. And and the Bible tells us that the man was the one that was supposed to keep the law. Like, the man was the one that was supposed to raise the household, and it fell on him. The wife and the mom, they were to do things as well, but ultimately it would fall on the husband and the father if something happened to that household.
Mm-hmm. All right, Eric, thanks so much for your time. We appreciate you coming on the show today and talking about keeping God in America.